You ever have one of those days where even before your shoes hit the floor, that the universe is about to test your last nerve? That was the day Dr. Elias Cole stepped into O'Hare International with his daughter Lily. You could taste the recycled air and nerves floating in the terminal, people hustling, Cinnabon somewhere nearby, all that anxious hurry-up-and-wait energy that makes you wonder why you fly at all. But none of that really mattered to Elias. Not today, not with his 7-month-old asleep on his chest, her tiny fist curled around the edge of his shirt, that soft baby breath warm against his neck for a moment. That's all there was. He looked just like any tired dad. You know what I mean? Comfortable sweatpants, plain black t-shirt, sneakers that had seen better days. The exhaustion was obvious in the lines around his eyes, but he carried Lily like she was the most precious thing in the world because she was. This wasn't just another business trip. He was moving across the world for a 6-month assignment, and his wife herself, a busy surgeon, won't arrive for another 2 weeks. 10 days, just father and daughter, trying to make sense of a new chapter together. Final call for Flight 88 to Frankfurt. The sign blinked, and the tension in Elias's gut twisted a little tighter. Of course, security had randomly picked him for the enhanced screening. You ever notice how random never feels random if you're a black man in America? But he made it, last in line, juggling passports and the baby bag as the gate agent. Robert Patterson come over, late 50s, that board-clipped authority barked at everyone like he'd invented air travel. When Elias handed over their passports, Robert didn't look at the papers, just gave him the up-down, eyes lingering on Lily. She with you? The way he said it, like maybe Elias had picked her up at Lost and found that hot prickle of anger. You just swallow it, always for the kid. Yes, she's my daughter. Robert stamped the boarding passes hard enough to dent the counter, told him families had missed pre-boarding, go to Zone 5. But Elias had booked the expensive bulkhead seat 12D, bassinet spot, first aboard. That's how it worked. My seat is 12D, sir. Shouldn't I be Zone 1? Robert sighed, said the system moved things around. Buddy, just go with Zone 5. That buddy was a slap. But with Lily starting to stir, Elias let it go, heading down the jet bridge with a jaw tight enough to crack teeth. You know how airline cabins always feel about 3 degrees too warm and everyone's wrestling bags and elbowing for space? He found his row and his seat was already taken by a young couple. The man showed his boarding pass, says 12D right here. Elias's pass also said 12D, but now it was stamped, Zone 5 scribbled on top, Robert's final gift. The flight attendant arrived, Brenda Davis, severe blonde, eyes cold as steel under that forced smile. What's the issue, sir? When she realized he was the one bumped from the seat, her face changed, could see it, clear as day. They're settled. You'll be in 34B, sir. In the back. Now, anyone who's traveled with a baby knows a 10-hour flight. Middle seat, no bassinet. That's cruel and dangerous. I can't do this, Elias tried to explain. I booked for the bassinet. Brenda's smile hardened to a sneer. You'll manage, or you'll be removed for noncompliance. The humiliation was public, passengers staring, whispers bubbling up like static. But again, for Lily, he swallowed it, walked to the back past the sideways glances, past Mrs. Gable, the old woman who actually whispered, "That's not right," to her husband. Seat 34B was Miseria giant on one side hogging both armrests, a teenager blasting music on the other. Nowhere to put the baby, no legroom, no window, no peace. As soon as they took off, Lily started crying, and every head seemed to turn. The man next to him grunted, "Can you do something?" The flight attendant, Tiffany, stopped by with drinks. She handed him an overfull cup of apple juice right as his seatmate elbowed him, sending juice flying onto both him and Lily. The crying became frantic. Tiffany rolled her eyes. "Oh, for God's sake, now look at the mess." She tossed a few napkins at him like she was feeding pigeons. Brenda appeared, sneering about how some people just aren't prepared to travel with infants, as if the whole flight's inconvenience was on Elias's shoulders. That's when something snapped inside. He told Brenda flat out, "No, I'm not moving. I'm not apologizing for your mistakes. You've been unprofessional and discriminatory since the start. I deserve basic dignity." The whole back of the plane fell silent misses. Gable had stopped in the aisle, people watching, waiting to see what happened next. Brenda called for the captain, determined to make an example out of him. When Captain Olson arrived, he tried to assert control, deep voice, crisp uniform, the kind of guy who probably loves rules more than people. He demanded Elias's passport and boarding pass, thinking this was the final move. But Elias, calm as ice, reached into his bag and pulled out his official ID. Presidential seal. Senior advisor to the Commission on Global Health Security. For a split second, time froze. The captain, Brenda, Tiffany all stared, faces draining of color. Mrs. Gable whispered, "Oh my lord." That little plastic card changed everything. Apologies started pouring out. "We'll move you, we'll fix this, whatever you want," but Elias was done. "No, you had your chance. I'll stay here, thanks. And you can live with how you treated me." The rest of the flight was a long, awkward lesson. Tiffany came with water, Brenda tried to bring a towel, but Elias just gave them a polite wall. Mrs. Gable came back quietly and gave him a blanket, whispering, "You're a wonderful father." He thanked her, genuine warmth in his voice, the only kindness he accepted. He called his boss, General Morrison, explained everything, every insult, every threat, every laugh at his expense. "Just get your daughter to Frankfurt safely. We'll handle the rest," the general promised. The aftermath was swift and merciless. Brenda, Tiffany, Robert the gate agent, even the captain, they all faced their own day of reckoning. Brenda lost her pension and her career. Tiffany was fired and ended up working retail. The captain's license was revoked after an unrelated safety violation came to light in the investigation. The airline got hit with massive fines, public shaming, and a retraining order for all employees. All because they judged a man by the color of his skin, not the content of his character or the contents of his wallet. 6 months later, in a sunlit Frankfurt apartment, Elias bounced a giggling Lily on his knee. He'd built a new life, surrounded by respect and love, and the scars from that flight were fading but not forgotten. That day had shown him, and anyone watching, how fast the world can flip when power is finally forced to look in the mirror. Was it karma? Was it justice? Or just the universe finally collecting its debt? You tell me, have you ever witnessed something like this? Seen people reveal who they really are at 30,000 feet? Drop your story in the comments. Tell us what you think. Was this karma? Was it overdue justice? Or just a world finally catching up to itself? If this hit home, give a video a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that remind us all sometimes dignity is the most powerful weapon we have.